I know every single penny means a lot to the patient. Every single penny that is sent through Save One Life has a name.
Welcome to Where Hope Begins, the Save One Life podcast. One country, one community, and one life at a time. I'm your host, Kai, and today we're joined by Agnes Kisakye of Uganda, an award-winning community leader and the founder of the Hemophilia Foundation of Uganda, whose work has helped transform awareness, diagnosis, and access to care for families across the country. Agnes is also a force for women, building partnerships, creating new pathways to stability, and launching training designed to help mothers and women caregivers strengthen income streams and meet their families' needs. Welcome to the podcast, Agnes.
Thank you so much, Kai, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to have this platform to share the work we do at the Hemophilia Foundation of Uganda.
Well, it's wonderful to have you. So I think for us listeners, please just tell us about your story and how hemophilia first entered your life.
Sharing my story makes me proud each and every minute that I get to share it, because it is the reason why we do what we do. My journey with hemophilia began around 2004 during a vacation visit to my elder brother. And one time, something inexplicable happened to my nephew, Jovan. He was found with his bed sheets soaked in blood. And at that time, he was just 4 years. We were trying to know what is happening. And he told us a playmate had hit him a metal on the forehead. But as a family, as elders, we realized this was no ordinary injury. It was something different because the blood continued to flow for days, weeks, even after the wound was stitched. So when the swelling remained, his father sought for surgery procedures to remove what looked like a lump in Jovan's forehead, but only led to more complications. Jovan ended up in acute care unit for days. Doctors, of course, theorized about severe allergies, other conditions. It was only when we had a chance to meet an old hematologist who suspected hemophilia. At that time, we found direction, although we had to export his sample to South Africa to get a diagnosis. And it happened to be hemophilia, factor 9 deficient, severe. So in those days, the landscape of hemophilia in Uganda was a vacuum. There was no specific treatment, relied on fresh frozen plasma, cryopsiptate, often waiting for a full day for a single pack of FFP. The lowest point is when Jovan suffered an intracranial bleed without treatment, without nothing. He was in immense pain and we were left at the mercy of God. So our turning point about hemophilia was truly miraculous. It's when we met an Indian gentleman who had traveled to Uganda and he had 2 sons. And luckily, his 2 boys had factor 9 deficiency, just like Jovan. And he was looking for a treatment center, but there was no treatment center, of course. He was referred to my brother, and he eventually linked us with Laurie Kelly, then through Project Share. And we began receiving donated factor from Laurie. And the speed of that support was the life-changing because we had no idea, we had no, we are almost hopeless as a family. And the experience triggered a vital question. Is Jovan the only one who is suffering from hemophilia? Of course, we knew the answer was no. And we realized that if we did act as family members, other families would face the same trauma and pain. And this led to the registration of Hemophilia Foundation of Uganda.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And obviously how scary those early days were for you and your family. But again, speaking to the importance of community then. So could you talk to us about how those moments of connection, what that did for you and your family, and obviously getting the factory that you needed through Project Share?
Of course, you could look at the problem and you have no solution. You see many other patients looking out for solution. It really bothered us as a family. And now we are turning this into a community. And it challenged us that we were looking at several other patients who were suffering from this condition. And of course, they had no answer, but only looking to us who could probably use the connection of Project Share to support these patients. So it was a difficult time then. But of course, as you know, when you have a vision, when you have the passion, sometimes you're able to work out even something that looks insurmountable. It is sometimes difficult, but we keep pushing as founders, and also looking at the communities that we serve, that they are looking up to us. So it kept us going, even when we thought we did have an immediate solution. We kept pushing to see how we can help these vulnerable people in the country.
Yeah, and it's again speaks to the power of how program partners in these stories take these moments of hopelessness, find that connection and community, and then share that knowledge, right? You are helping prevent what you experienced with your family in those early days, no diagnosis, lack of access to care, and then ultimately that connection to save one life. I guess as we talk about the work you do there, can you tell us a little bit about what it's like living with a bleeding disorder today?
Yeah, living with hemophilia in Uganda, of course, the past days are different from now. And there are several other challenges that the families experience. The financial constraints, there is a lot of stigma, the mother's shoulder, the burden of taking care of their children, several others. And, we haven't had a budget allocated for the treatment of the products, but we keep pushing. I have to repeat this, that the problem is still big, but at least the good news is that we are able to support within our means. We are able to disseminate. But of course, it is a nightmare because when we look at the number of patients who we're supposed to reach, the number is still below the rate. The diagnostic rate is still way below, but we have hope that we shall reach out to several others who are still suffering, who are still in despair. And we keep supporting the families, known families. We keep pushing, supporting them, although they have a lot of psychosocial, and as I said, the financial constraints, the burden of taking care of their children as mothers is quite huge.
Thank you for sharing that. And so I guess tell us about some of those financial strains. So what does partnership, with Save One Life and your foundation, what does that look like in action? What does it help families do?
Partnerships have been the lifeblood of Hemophilia Foundation of Uganda, I have to say that. Before the partnerships, before working with different partners across the globe, we're operating in a vacuum where almost nothing existed in my country. There was no treatment, there was no awareness, there was no diagnosis, there was no knowledge about hemophilia from the general public to the healthcare fraternity. And patients lived in a state of hopeless. I know they used to view themselves as failures who could not attend school, who could not associate freely due to the community stigma. But the generosity of our international partners changed everything. I remember in 2015, through the collaboration with Novo Nordisk Hemophilia Foundation, Uganda established its first ever coagulation facility at the National Referral Hospital. This was a historic shift from hopelessness to clinical reality. Beyond the medicine, I have also the privilege witnessing our patients who once thought their lives were over, graduating from universities, starting up businesses because of the scholarship, sponsorship, and the microgrant program sponsored by Save One Life. So I believe that these partnerships did just bring medicine. They brought back the human right, the human dignity. And you can imagine that someone is growing, but they have no education. They are living with the pain. Of course, they will lose hope. But because we have this kind of partnerships, the narrative has changed for our patients. They are able to live a normal life.
Yeah. And that speaks so clearly to, the impact of these partnerships. It's not just care for hemophilia. It's what you said. It's human dignity. It's bringing back human rights to these families who are just get so overwhelmed by diagnosis and lack of care. And the idea that, these families can start a small business, make sure their children are being educated for, a long life of reward. And I know you speak often to the tremendous burden mothers carry. So can you talk about that work you do when it comes to women and child rearing?
The burden the mothers in our community carry is very heavy for them. It begins with actually isolation, discrimination from the communities, from the family members. In many cases, in my country, in my culture, when a child is diagnosed with a bleeding disorder or with any abnormality or any chronic condition, the fathers tend to abandon the family. They leave the mothers, and the mothers are viewed as a curse to the family members, even the wider community. So the women are left to shoulder the immense medical bill, the emotional, the financial responsibility of supporting their children single-handedly. And they are marginalized by the very people who should be their support, who should be the support system, the family members, the community. So it's quite huge as mothers who are carriers, who are also leaders, who are caretakers. They carry a huge and multifaceted, there are several challenges these mothers are facing, but they don't give up. That makes me proud that they keep going and they continue supporting their children. Yeah.
Yeah, and how difficult that is. That goes without saying. So, is this why you've launched this entrepreneurship training program for women?
Absolutely. We have been looking at these mothers with a triple layered challenges as they navigate their lives as mothers, as careers, and often face misplaced guilt for passing on the condition. They have to wake up in the middle of the night, for emergency clinics, and they have to take care of their transport bills, the destinies of their children. There are quite a lot of things that these mothers have to take care of as mothers. So we decided to come up with an entrepreneurship program, which was entirely designed to bridge the gap between the mothers and also looking at their potential for their long-term sustainability as they take care of their children. Many of these women have the drive, they have the vision to support their families. They have never given up. They are held back by lack of common business knowledge and also the pressure of medical crisis. the pressure from the family members. We are moving away from the temporary relief.
Yeah. So, and again, to reiterate the impact resources have, it's not just about the medicine and the medical care, right? It's these lifelong sustainability efforts that, puts resources in front of people who want to be successful, in small business. And can you think of a story or maybe a family that you met and kind of like before and after the difference that their life made?
I have several stories. One of the significant ones that I can never forget is the one for Peter. Peter's story touches me, and it also touches several other patients. And I keep reflecting on it often. I can still see the day Peter and his parents came to me. Their eyes were filled with tears, exhausted. His father was very exhausted. They lacked the answers at that time. I think it was around 2014 when I met Peter. They were at a breaking point. To see that some young man today sitting in office with me as a healthy, empowered individual contributing to the mission of the organization gives me the courage to work even harder. I believe that this is proof that when help reaches a needy person or a family, it doesn't just stop on bleeding. It restores the entire future. So at that time in 2015, Peter was hopeless. His father was in much pain, much as he was an educated old man. But he worked with his son to see if he could get a solution. And today, he always makes a call. Yes, Agnes, how are you? I'm happy that my boy, my son, is living. So those are some of the stories. That is one of the stories.
Yeah, one of the many. And I think for you, seeing that firsthand as someone who it sounds like they work within your foundation. So powerful. And I know you recently received the NNHF Community Award in recognition of long-term commitment and grassroots impact. What did that recognition mean to you?
I received the NNHF Community Award was deeply emotional. It was very emotional for me because it served as a very powerful validation of the decades of collective struggle and resilience. Yeah, so I came to, we had a partnership with NNHF in 2015. And I was a bit, you don't know so many things. But I told you at 19 years of age, I had started supporting these patients. And I saw the trust that the parents, the health professionals had in me. It helped me to keep going. That with the little knowledge, with the lack of clinical knowledge, because by then I had a degree in social work and social administration, I didn't give up. I had a vision, I had a passion, I loved to support. So with the NNHF coming to play in 2015, when we don't have diagnostic services, when we had not trained so many health workers, we had not moved so much in the communities, it was a fact that we had so many things that we could do if we had the resources. So for the Ugandan community, this recognition was a signal that we are no longer invisible. It represented the transition of our organization. Sometimes you can be running an organization, but you look at it as something very small with a disparate growth. So we felt that this is recognized across in the global bleeding disorders community. It proved that despite having limited resources and starting with nothing, a grassroots commitment to the list of these, it meant really a lot. And sometimes I think about how we can bring so many other people. Anyway, I can feel that the passion is not taught. You cannot teach someone to be passionate about something.
Yeah.
Yes, but for me, it gives me the most hope right now in this world. And even looking at the youth coming on board with incredible resilience, it gives me courage. Seeing so many other people and looking at even other the Save One Life beneficiaries who are now attending school, it gives me much hope. And we are looking at the 5-year roadmap, the one that we developed as for the foundation, where we are looking at growing diagnostic capacity, regional hubs, looking at a sustainable hemophilia community. When I look at this award, it means a lot where we have come from and where we are,
Yeah.
It means a lot. It means a lot to me that with nothing, we're able to work. So when we have something, we have to keep on asking ourselves, how much have we achieved? How much have we impacted? Even as I look at the community, actually, I haven't used, it comes with a gift.
Oh yeah? What was the gift?
Yes, it comes with some gift in cash. And we are looking at how we can use it for that community that I worked for without resources. And today we are over 500 patients. And we have so many other thousands that we have not met. So how best can we use this community award to support through psychosocial, to support the psychosocial bit of the patients so that there is that legacy that the hemophilia community has somewhere to lean. There is something, that has been constructed for even future generation of patients with hemophilia and other bleeding disorders.
I can certainly hear the passion, and I can certainly hear the hope in your voice, knowing that even though there's only 500 now, there will be thousands more someday. So thank you so much for the work you do. And thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today. It's really been a pleasure, and the best of luck to you and your foundation as you move forward.
And thank you too. Many thanks to our partners, Save One Life. You have changed the narrative. I'm really proud of you. And this is also a message from the patients. Today we had a clinic and I told them I have a story to share on the podcast. I really want to let you know that the patients are very grateful, the mothers, and also the different partners that have really supported the work we are doing in Uganda. I know every single penny means a lot to the patient. Every single penny that is sent through Save One Life has a name. Thank you so much for hosting me. Yeah. And thank you to all our listeners.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly hope to hear some of those stories, maybe from some of your patients in a future episode. So let's definitely connect about that.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to Where Hope Begins, one country, one community, and one life at a time. To learn more about Save One Life and how sponsorship transforms lives, visit saveonelife.net/sponsorship. Until next time, everybody, take care. Thank you for listening to Where Hope Begins, the Save One Life podcast, because when one life is supported, generations can be transformed. Presented by Save One Life in partnership with Balancing Life's Issues. Produced by me, Kai. Got an idea for the show? Send me an email at kai@balancinglifesissues.com. Did today's story move you? Sponsor a child at saveonelife.net/sponsorship. Anything else to add, Miles?
Yeah,